Technology.
You got to tell the gentleman over there that you're going to start so he can start.
We're live. We're live. We are live. Good evening. We're going to start tonight's meeting at 5:30. And we'll have roll call, please.
Thank you for tonight's special closed session, 5:30, January 13th, 2025, beginning the meeting at 6:31. 5:31, Councilmember Infante.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Arona. Claudia.
Here.
Councilmember Elizabeth Arona.
Here.
Mayor Brown.
Here.
Thank you.
All right. Randy, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Certainly. Raise your hand over your heart and pledge along with me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. Now, I guess we need to take public communications for the closed session. We'll take public communications on the closed session. Do we have anybody with their hand up or anybody in the audience? Okay. Seeing none, we will adjourn to closed session, and I'll let Craig go ahead and read that.
Thank you, Mayor. The closed session item is conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation, Government Code Section 54956.9 D2, one potential case.
Okay. We are adjourned. Okay. Did, got a lot of late entries today, don't we?
Oh, yes.
You're like the new kid here.
I have it up. I think it just needs to kick in, sir.
Okay, we're going to bring it back to the closed session, and would you please let us know what reportable action?
Mayor, there was no reportable action in the closed session.
Okay, our closed session is closed, and we will reconvene at 6:30. Good evening, and welcome to tonight's council meeting. We'll start with a Pledge of Allegiance led by Joy Chamberlain of the Daughters of the American Revolution.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, roll call, please.
Calling the meeting to order for Monday, January 13th, 2025, per Mayor Brown at 6:31 PM. Councilmember Infante,
Present?
Mayor Pro Tem Claudia Arona,
Here.
Elizabeth Arona,
Here.
Mayor Brown.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, let's get started. To get started here, I'd like to ask my fellow council members, we're going to make a few adjustments to the agenda. I'd like to move discussion items 9B, which is the Planning Commission, DRC, and Measure U, right after the proclamations of 2.A on the agenda. I'm going to move that up. And then also,
Okay.
9.A is going to be just removed. They're not here to present tonight, and that'll be
It will be re-agendized for the next meeting, yes.
re-agendized. So it'll be out.
Okay.
So we'll scratch 9A and move item 2A, 9B, right after 2A, if that's okay. Any
After we potentially seat the new council person? Okay.
Right. That's the objective. Have a council member, full roster. Okay. So let me see. With that being said, let's go ahead and have discussions for Part A. Is that what I have, right? Or are we going to do the proclamation first?
May I read the discussion item? That's first.
Yeah, please.
Okay. Discussion and possible action to select a new council member or Solvang's District 3 representative.
Okay. We have
Staff.
for that as well.
Staff.
Staff report. Staff report.
Staff report.
Thank you. Anna Marie Porter, City Clerk. With the results of the November 5th, 2024 election, a vacancy was created on the City Council. This was due to the election of Mayor Pro Tem to serve as, Mayor Pro Tem Brown at the time to serve as mayor. There are 2 years left on his term, and therefore representation is needed until the 2026 election due to his vacancy. The California Code addresses the vacancies for cities in California, and there's government code section that provides pertinent language that denotes whether or not the city council could choose to appoint a position or hold a special election. We received applications from V. Louise Smith and Melanie Eckford Prosor. The alternatives are council could choose to delay filling the vacancy by only a few weeks, or the vacancy would have to go through the election process, therefore having a vacant position until the next election in California, which thus far is undecided. Fiscal impacts of a special election would be approximately $30,000 in the County of Santa Barbara fee schedule, plus consultant fees and other internal costs. And with that, we'll leave it up to council to conduct the interview process.
Thank you. Okay, we have 2 candidates that have submitted applications, and I'd like to see if they'd like to make some comments in advance. Ms. Smith? Yes. You're welcome to come to the podium and share with us your, give us 3 minutes if you would.
I might go a little over 3 minutes. I think I got this at 3 minutes and 13 seconds, so. So good evening, City Council members. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your service and for allowing me this opportunity to speak to you about my qualifications and to fill the District 3 seat. I'd like to congratulate you, Mayor Brown, and council members Infante and Claudia Arona for your victories, and not to leave you out, Elizabeth Arona, but for your continued service. On a broad note, my heart goes out to everybody in LA and those affected by the devastating fires that continue to burn and destroy, as well as to any local residents who have friends and or family affected by these fires. I just want you to know, on a personal note, my home is open to anybody who needs a place to stay. If you know of anyone, please let me know. I'm more than happy to help. As council members know, but for those of you that do not know, I did run for the District 3 seat 2 years ago, and I lost to now Mayor Brown. But I want to make it clear that I only lost by like 6 votes, very few votes. So this lets me know that I had and I still have the support of District 3 residents and businesses. A brief introduction as to who I am. I'm the owner of Louise's Kitchen Table, a small catering event and private chef business. I have worked in the San Ynez Valley for over 20 years, and I moved from Santa Barbara into Solvang almost 16 years ago. My business relies on local residents, other businesses, and tourists alike to hire my company and offer my goods and services. I also work with other local businesses that keep me going and support my business. I'm the board president of my HOA, and I have served on both nonprofit and for-profit boards in Santa Barbara and the San Ynez Valley, and I have had to make the hard decisions that boards and council members need to make, so I understand the process. I have a bachelor's degree in sociology, a master's in business administration, focusing on management and leadership. Now switching gears, I know there are many issues facing the city of Solvang that need to be addressed. How the city spends money is always a top priority. I know 2025 is expected to be a drought year, which brings up concerns about water conservation, aging wells, and our dependence on state water, of which our allotment continues to decrease. The LA fires further bring to light how vulnerable communities are, and I think we now need to take a closer look at what the city has in place to ensure the safety and security of our citizens, businesses, and many visitors in a catastrophic event. This past December, I believe we saw around 800,000 tourists come through our very Christmassy town, which was amazing and fantastic, but it did put some strains on our resources, including parking as well as traffic congestion. Our streets are in need of repair, and we need more sidewalks, especially along 5th Street, where so many visitors park and whose residents have expressed concern. I know these are just a few of the many challenges facing our city. I can't name all of them in 3 minutes. I don't have all the answers, but my passion and commitment to District 3 and to Solvang are strong. What I bring to this council is what I do best. I listen and I ask questions. I want to see our beloved city thrive now and for many decades to come. I'm excited to be a part of this city council and believe I have the qualifications, the skills, the passion necessary to help our community reach our goals by being the voice for District 3, and I am asking for your vote to appoint me to District 3 seat. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like the other candidate, Mel. Is Melanie with us? Would you like to make a comment? Thank you.
Hi, I'm Melanie Eckford-Prosser. Hoping to be District 3 rep, and I'm short, so I'm going to try and work on this. I came to this sort of by accident. My mom has been sick for a while. She died on December 2nd. I work at the Book Loft, and we were checking Yule Fest things in the midst of all of the 800,000 visitors. And I saw the District 3 seat was open. And I thought, this really is the time, because I've been involved a lot in governance from a college and university perspective, as a Senate president at a university, most recently as academic Senate president at Santa Barbara City College. And the link between the way a college works and the way a city works is, I think, very similar. Cities, anyone can come. Open access colleges in California, anyone can come. And so the question is, how do you engage people? How do you connect with people? I've been lucky enough to serve on the vestry at St. Mark's, to serve on the Theater Fest board, to serve on the Santa Barbara Foundation for City College. And at this point, I'm applying now because I think we're at a sort of crucial hinge moment for Solvang. And that hinge moment is, as anyone who lives in District 3, I live on Laurel and Second Place. And so I look at some of my other residents there. There was parking beyond the upper school for visitors coming. And I think that we can do better for us, for the Solvang residents, as well as for the businesses and as well as for the tourists. And so those are really sort of the momentum for why I applied for this. Background, I've been, when I lived in Village Lane, I was the HOA president there. I'm the HOA president for the Dana Board condos that I live in. I've built a community at Santa Barbara City College from 30 students to 330 students, connected around that idea of what engages us and what connects us. My daughter lives in LA. My uncle and aunt, 90 and 92, refused to leave their house in Topanga. They're still there. So yes, all of those sorts of crises that we're about to engage in California, or that we are engaging in California, are relevant. I also am part of the Santa Barbara Community Rowing Association. We row on Lake Cachuma. And so I put a boat on my shoulder and I walk down to the lake and I see the lake drop on a several times a week basis. And what I want to do is help and build consensus. And I think that I'm pausing here because, do I mention that I've got a dog named Daisy? And we go into the park, and there's no place for her to get a drink of water. Small things that we can do, as well as the really important things that we have to do, like the wastewater treatment plant and so on. So thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any questions from our staff here? Or? Okay, we'll take it to public comment. If anybody would like to make any comment on either of these individuals for this discussion item. I have two presently. Dan Martin, if you'd like to start us off.
Is he talking about them?
The topics is there's either candidate.
Okay.
And on deck is
Support of the candidates.
I'm sorry. I'm not used to you talking on any other
On
subject.
deck
I
is-
know. I can talk about more than one thing.
excuse me, Dan. Tracy Beard would be next.
Pardon?
I was saying who's on deck. Tracy Beard. You're now. And she's
Okay,
on
it's
deck.
my turn.
Thank you.
Okay, it's okay, right? Okay, my name is Dan Martin. Good evening, Mayor Brown and other council members. I'm a lifelong resident of the San Ynez Valley, and I'm voicing my support for Louise Smith in her candidacy for the District 3 City Council position. I've known Louise for over 20 years, both of us being involved in the San Ynez Valley wine industry for those 20 years. Louise has always proven to be a level-headed person and has been involved in many local events and fundraisers and has a keen outlook on the tourism which feeds our city and the needs of our Solvang and San Ynez Valley residents. I believe Louise will bring an honest and open-minded attitude to the Solvang City Council. Thank you.
Thank you. Tracy Beard.
Hi, I'm Tracy Beard, the CEO of the Chamber of Commerce of Solvang. I'm here wholeheartedly to support the application for Louise Smith for the position of City Council. Her passion and advocacy for our community is a true champion for our business community with over 700 business licenses that have been pulled, and she has worked in many fine areas. With a master's degree in business administration, decades long of experience, she also holds a law degree. She has a unique opportunity to make a difference to this community of what she has done. Her innovation approach to management problem solving makes her a valuable asset in any role she undertakes. Louise's professional history highlights the San Ynez Valley. She has worked extensively on Visit SYV. She has held a position on the Tourism Council. She has been able to look at financial. She knows all of these items of what you look at. She is an ambassador. She has the strength of relationships between local businesses and residents. Her ability for building connections, managing complex operations, supporting team will speak volumes of her leadership. What Louise sets her apart is unwavering commitment to the community. She is not only a strong supporter of this city, but an active participant volunteering in many organizations, embodying the spirit of service. Her qualifications in tax, complicated bookkeeping, database management, coupling with certificates within all the food, beverage service control, demonstrating her readiness to navigate. We need these things in this community. We are a service community. We are a hospitality community. And we need somebody that will speak on that behalf within our community of City Council. Governance of the professional care, Louise will bring that to us. I believe Louise's passion for solving, commitment of exceptional background, leadership, will make her a great candidate. She has a vision, experience. She also did run and lose by 6 votes, as we all said. This is an opportunity that she's committed to put herself on the line. Anyone that runs, it is a journey to put yourself out there, and all of you, and you know what it is. And I think she has that commitment. Our other candidate is very well served, but I think this one will make an excellent candidate for the future of this community. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else in the community? Please give us your name when you come to the podium.
Stephen Brown.
Okay.
Thank you for this opportunity to speak. Thank you also for resolving to have the candidate from my district. I really appreciate that. I'm here in support of Louise, and everyone else has said pretty much the same thing I want to say. So I'll just say I voted enthusiastically for her 2 years ago, and I'm happy to have the chance to vote for her again. And, you know, it was a close vote, and Dave won, and he's now mayor, and I would be happy to see Louise on the council. She's really qualified, and she's already demonstrated substantial support for her in her district. So thank you.
Thank you. And I saw another hand. Yes, please come up. Mary Beth.
Hi, I'm Mary Beth Lee. I am a Solvang longtime resident and property owner, and I'm here to speak in support of Louise Smith. She has shown a consistent desire to serve, not only when she ran against Mr. Brown in 2022, but she also put herself forth when there was a seat open because of Mr. Infante becoming mayor at that time. You know, she said everything that you would want someone to say who was going to serve on this council. I think it's really important that she is a business owner and that her business is hospitality and food service. That is a vital industry in this community. And having that experience and that voice, I think would be really important on the council. She is smart, she is thoughtful, she's hardworking, she is a good listener, and she will see this position as service. She has a heart to serve. And so I would hope that you would appoint her to this council. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, if there's anybody else in, Susan.
I think I put the wrong number on my speaker slip. Sorry.
Okay.
So you can just discard that one. That is the wrong one.
It got changed in the middle there.
Oh. So anyway, I'm Susan Williams. I am a resident of Solvang and a former Solvang business owner. So I am here tonight to enthusiastically support Louise Smith in her application to be appointed to the Solvang City Council. I've known Louise for 17 years, first as an employee at Wandering Dog Wine Bar, and then over the years as a customer of Louise's Kitchen Table, and as a candidate for the Solvang City Council 2 years ago. I've attended SYVVA board meetings and observed that Louise was always prepared, she listened intently, and she brought a lot to the discussion. Louise is reliable, dedicated, and works extremely well with others. Louise cares passionately about her community. She is involved in local events, graciously donates her services and delicious cheesecakes to many of our community fundraisers, and is very supportive of local businesses. A letter from Corey Evans was included in tonight's packet. I hope you all have read it. For the public record, I'm going to quote him because I echo his sentiments and cannot say anything better. Corey said, "I believe Louise Smith will bring a fresh perspective to the City Council with a focus on strengthening local businesses, enhancing community engagement, and ensuring that Solvang remains a welcome and thriving place for residents and visitors alike. She possesses a strong sense of integrity, a solutions-oriented approach, and a deep love for the values that make Solvang such a special place. I, like Corey, am confident that her leadership will be invaluable to the future of our beloved city." Thank you.
Thank you. Not seeing any others, so is there anyone on Zoom that wishes to participate? Okay, seeing none, we'll close the public comment and bring it back to the board. Any questions or ideas?
Can we make an appointment?
I have a quick comment, and I'll make a motion, unless anybody else would like to. I just want to say thank you for both candidates, to take the time and energy to put yourself out there and commit to serving, because it's a big commitment, and appreciate this, that you both, and two great qualified candidates happen to be ladies, raising their hand to do the work. Really appreciate it. My comments are only twos. Unfortunate. We could do better. We're working on it. This go round of applications is phenomenal. I did want to make just a quick comment on why I'm making the motion that I'm about to make. I do just want to say that I'm going to make a motion to appoint Louise as our fourth council member, mainly because having run for office, it gives the public an opportunity to get to know a candidate through a number of forums, and running and knocking on doors and publicizing what you really think. And then to have some evidence of what voters really think through that election, I think is a good validator for an appointment in the style that we're making that appointment. And then I think that while Louise, when she ran, did not prevail, she immediately raised her hand again and volunteered to serve on the TAC. So I just think the consistency, the awareness, it just feels very right to make a motion to appoint Louise Walker for our fifth council member.
I'll second that motion.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Infante.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Claudia Arona.
Yes.
Councilmember Elizabeth Arona.
Yes.
Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you. Let's congratulate Ms. Smith, and we're going to take a 5-minute recess, have her sworn in, and she'll join us in about 5 minutes' time for the balance of the meeting as a voting member, and we welcome her to the diocese. Congratulations.
Didn't want to run into you there. I wasn't sure where you were.
Oh, sorry. No, you're fine.
reminder for everybody to silence their phones and put them away for the moment. But want to welcome our newest council member, Ms. Smith, and perhaps now I won't have to hear about those 6 votes in the future. What? I thought that was really funny. So at any rate, welcome aboard, and we look forward to great things with your participation and leadership. With that, it's my pleasure as mayor to make a proclamation tonight to the Refugio del Cielo chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution. And let me read it as it's printed here. Whereas on this 13th, well, it says, whereas on December 13th, 2014, okay, the Refugio del Cielo chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution, or DAR, was formed and certified, marking the Santa Ynez Valley chapter's 10th anniversary, December 2024, and whereas the National Society of the Daughters of the American Revolution was founded in 1890 as a nonprofit, non-political, volunteer women's service organization, with each woman having a direct lineal descent from an ancestor who aided in achieving U.S. independence, and is dedicated to promoting historical preservation, education, and patriotism across the United States. And whereas the Refugio del Cielo chapter follows this tradition by devoting many hours of service to our active servicemen and women, as well as our veterans, with events and activities honoring them, such as Veterans Day, Veterans Stand Down, Salute the Troops, the 4th of July Parade, and Wreaths Across America. This local chapter also represents youth citizenship awards to schools, as well as scholarships to high school students. And whereas the Refugio del Cielo DAR chapter will continue to strive to make a difference in our community for years to come. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Mayor David Brown, along with the City Council of the City of Solvang, California, do hereby proclaim January 2025 as the beginning of the 10th year of the Refugio del Cielo chapter of the DAR in our valley. In witnesses thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and have caused the official seal of the City of Solvang, California, to be affixed this 13th day of January 2025. Congratulations. And may I say that I don't think there's a more patriotic society or organization in our community than the Daughters of the American Revolution. And I think there's Joy Chamberlain here to accept this.
I did come prepared to give you a little speech, but it sounds like it was all in this document, so I won't bother you. I'm going to say one thing because I heard all these candidates. I am pretty much a lifelong resident of Santa Ynez Valley. I've lived here all my adult life, and I went all through grammar school and high school here. I love the work you're doing. Thank you so much, and thank you for this proclamation. Thank you very much. And our ladies are going to leave, if that's all right. It looks like you have lots of business to do.
There's much more. Thank you. Okay. Now we're going to move to committee appointments, item 9B in our agenda. Staff report, please.
If I may read the item, discussion and possible action to select representatives for advisory body positions that include the Planning Commission, the Design Review Committee, and the Measure Use Citizens Oversight Committee.
Okay. let's begin with the Planning Commission, if we may. Our candidates and I want to, first of all, let me thank everybody who's put forth an application. Basically, we were overwhelmed with regards to the quality and the number of folks that wanted to step up and serve. Thank you very much. It's very much appreciated. And it's just a testament to our community and the fabric that we've weaved, how close we've become, and the support that everybody has to make this a better community. So I think what we should do is start with the Planning Commission. And those candidates, can we list those individuals, please? I'm sorry? Page 180.
The applicants for Planning Commission that were received were from Keith Adler, Robert Clark, Alex Marks, Aaron Peterson, Brandon Sparks Gillis, Jack Williams, Nick Ziegler, William Ziegler.
Okay, thank you. Are any of these individuals wish to make any comment? Please introduce yourself and
Us Zigglers had to debate which one would go first. So
Oh, okay.
we sorted that out. We came straight from the family reunion, so it worked. No, but in seriousness, thank you, members of the City Council. Thank you, City Clerk, City Manager, any other cities, things I may have missed. My name is Nick Ziegler. I'm a local resident. I'm a parent and a business owner. And I know I don't have to convince anyone in this room what a special place Solvang is. But every day, my wife, my kids, and I, we wake up and we think about how lucky we are to live here. We know that people from all over the world save their hard-earned money just so that they can visit this city that we get to a place that we get to call home. That's very humbling. I agree with these tourists, which is not something I say often in my home, but I agree with them that this place is unique and it is precious. And that's why I want to live here, raise my children here, and God willing, die here, though I'm not in a rush. I would be honored by the opportunity to serve on the Planning Commission. I know the considerations the Commission makes and the recommendations it offers affect what Solvang will be like in 5 years, or 10, or 20. And I want my kids to have a chance to grow old here too, so these things are very important to me. I know growth is hard, and I know change can be scary. And the Planning Commission has a tough job to do, protecting residents, property owners, and local businesses, all while encouraging healthy growth in the tourism industry that is our life's blood. But that is a job I am ready, willing, and I believe able to do. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. The other Mr. Ziegler.
Hi, my name's William Bill Ziegler. What are the chances two of us in the same room? I mean, we can go cross country and not find someone who spells their name the same way. So how fortuitous. Thank you for allowing us to speak. I was glad myself to see the good slate of candidates you had for your council there. I come from local government. I've spent most of my time in urban planning. I understand general plans and I understand land use and all of that. I would bring experience to the position, and I think I'm a pretty good listener. And as I follow the threads in social media, and I see the emotion that gets involved with certain projects, I think I could be a voice there to help explain why the Planning Commission and why the Council has to make some of the decisions that it does. The state plays a pretty strong card in a lot of what we do And we don't always get to say no, but we can impose reasonable considerations on the things that they do. So I would be proud to serve. I've lived here since 2020. We got here just in time for COVID. My wife and I retired here to the family home. I have been coming here very routinely for over 20 years, visiting family, so I have a good sense of Solvang's values and our strengths and some of our challenges. So I would be very proud to be able to serve you and the community on the Planning Commission. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next candidate, Jack.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council. My name's Jack Williams. I've served on the Planning Commission for a number of years, and I like the opportunity to continue the work that we've done. I understand how things work in the city and what needs to be done, and feel I can bring a lot to apply to the various challenges, like it's been referred to, that we have based on, our new general plan, our updated ordinances, which we've just done, and probably most of all, trying to work with the state to do something in the city that will satisfy the state but keep our unique character that we have. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Please.
Good evening, and thank you, Mr. Mayor, and all the folks on the council. My name is Brandon Sparks-Gillis. Good to see you. Long time no see. I am applying for the Planning Commission because I think that we're kind of at a critical juncture, both in the town, in the city of Solvang, and in California more generally. And over the years, I've lived for 18 years in the Valley, almost a little over 17 now in Solvang. And I think that the coming couple of years might actually be the most important period of time within that last couple of decades, given the state RENA mandates and the pressures that are going to be put on Solvang and the kind of opportunities and challenges that we face. And I've followed the housing element very closely, among other things. I'm a business owner in the Valley, again, for that nearly 2-decade term. And I would really just appreciate the opportunity to serve and to help make Solvang, continue to make Solvang such a characterful town, and ideally take that character further into the future and preserve the beautiful area that we have.
Thank you. Do we have a, please?
Hi, thank you for having me. I just want to start off by saying I'm incredibly nervous, but I'm going to keep this really brief.
What's your name, please?
My name is Alex Marks.
Thank you.
So I was born and raised here in the San Ynez Valley, and I own and operate my own Pilates studio just a couple blocks away from this building. And I believe I'd be a great fit for the Planning Commission because I've spent my entire life in this community, and I have a deep commitment to its well-being. With my unique perspective, I really hope to bring fresh eyes and a forward-thinking approach to shaping the town's future, ensuring that it thrives for generations to come. My core values, if selected, align with serving the best interest of the locals while responsibly guiding the town's growth. Given the recent devastation caused by the LA fires, ensuring the safety and resilience of our community is my top priority. I'm committed to making thoughtful decisions that safeguard both present and future generations of the town. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much. Any others in here, in the room? Anybody on Zoom as a candidate? Okay, I was informed that Robert Clark had a medical excuse not to be here tonight, so don't hold that against him. And then we have others that are other members or applicants. Keith Adler, is he in? Aaron Peterson?
He's out of town. Aaron's out of the
Out of
country.
town? Okay, that's a good excuse too. driving on the wrong side of the road. Okay. Okay. Then I'd like to separate these into the planning, DCR, and then the Measure U, if we may. So as opposed to do one slate for all three.
Yeah, procedurally, how will we appoint? Do we want to?
Yeah, procedurally, we can each make an appointment.
Yeah.
To this commission, but I also wanted to get public feedback before we do that. So regarding planning commission candidates, is there any public opinion or interest in there? And I've got these that are coming up. I guess these are, I'm sorry? This is non-agenda items. Okay, that's not what I want. Okay, I want public comment is now open for any of the candidates for the planning commission. Anybody have any comments? Anybody on Zoom? Excuse me just a minute.
Dennis.
Mr. Beebe, the floor is yours. Again, we'll limit it to the 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to speak in support of Aaron Peterson. I note he's not here, but I've attended many planning commission meetings over the past year, and I'm impressed with his knowledge and the fact that he's the most prepared member of the past planning commission. He was the only one that rooted through 150 pages of all the ordinance changes that were before you in December, and I was quite impressed with his knowledge and his willingness to spend the time to prepare for the meeting. Very informed. I do recognize he is a developer, and he would have to recuse himself from time to time as serving on the Planning Commission. I still endorse his appointment to the Planning Commission.
Thank you. Any others? Yes, Tracy?
The Planning Commission is so important, and having that historical knowledge and history of that past, I really would like you to consider keeping Mr. Jack Williams and Mr. Aaron Peterson aboard, because that historical knowledge is so amazingly important, and we need that. And to have 5 new candidates would almost devastate the Planning Commission at this time, and we need to have that with what is happening in our community. So I would, with Mr. Peterson being on vacation and being a friend of his, I would like that support, and Mr. Jack Williams. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. We have one more. Jamie.
Good evening, Mayor and fellow council members. I'd also like to give my support to Aaron and to Jack Williams and to Keith Adler. Those 3, I've been attending pretty much the planning meetings every month and have seen them, and I believe that they're all prepared and understand our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. I'll close a public comment for Planning Commission because I don't see anybody on Zoom, and I guess some other people coming in. But I'll then go down the list here. Do you have
Council comment?
discussion, council comments on the candidates?
I'm going to just, if I might make a suggestion, maybe take it in district order on who they would nominate, and then you could confirm among yourself if that is acceptable, and then move on to the next district.
Yeah, that's fine.
As far as a sequence.
Sure, we
Sounds
can do
good.
that. District 1. Yeah, look around. Where's District 1?
I will appoint Jack Williams.
Okay. Any concern or discussion about that? Okay.
No.
District 2, Claudia.
Thank you for everybody that came forward and applied. Lots of great, talented people. I will appoint Aaron Peterson.
Okay. Any comments about that? District 3.
All right, first time I'm speaking. I don't know if I can make a comment, but I've known Brandon for a long time, and I think some new blood on the Planning Commission would be fantastic, so I would appoint Brandon Sparks-Gillis.
Okay. And any conversation or discussion about that? Okay. District 4, Elizabeth.
Yeah, three great choices so far. I also feel strongly about some comments that have been made that these next 2 years of development in the city of Solvang are crucial. So expertise and continuity is really important, and just thrilled with the kind of backgrounds that have stepped forward and raised their hands to volunteer. I am going to appoint Mr. Bill Ziegler.
Okay, very good. Any comments? Okay. Brings it to myself, and I would like to, I'd like to appoint Keith Adler to the position as an incumbent and have him have that continuity that we so need. And I do appreciate all the different folks that have come up and volunteered to be part of this. And I hope that you continue to be engaged with the process and share with us your concerns. Okay.
Congratulations.
Oh, no, we have to vote on that.
Oh, we do.
Yes. I appreciate
There were no objections.
I appreciate your enthusiasm, but it has to be official. So I will entertain a
Withdrawn.
motion for this slate of planning commissioners. If anybody.
I will make a motion to appoint and ratify these candidates to the Planning Commission.
Okay, and I have, let me repeat it. I have Jack Williams, Aaron Peterson, Brandon Sparks-Gillis, Bill Ziegler, and Keith Adler. Did I miss? Okay, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Very good. It's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Excuse me. I'm seeing the vote here. I don't know, just look. Councilmember Infante,
Yes.
Councilmember Claudia Abrona,
Yes.
Councilmember V. Louise Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Elizabeth Abrona,
Yes.
and Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Well, congratulations to our new planning commission. Okay, we'll move on to the Design Review Committee and the appointments for that. I'd like all the individuals that have applied to please introduce themselves and make a comment at this time.
Read the names.
Oh, yeah.
Certainly. Applications for the Design Review Committee were received by Esther Bates, Melissa Bates, Richard Boyd, Angela Chachiola, Sherry Inan, oh God, it's like first day of kindergarten, Charlene Getz, Jennifer Johnson, Steve Letchworth, Maryvonne LaPierre Martin, Raylyn Peterson, who announced her withdrawal of her application.
Who did?
Raylyn Peterson. Juan Roca, and with William Wichosh.
Thank you. In no particular order, are those, any of those individuals that would like to speak? Please. Please come to the podium, state your name and your objectives for running.
Okay, I'm Angelo Cacciola. I've been living here in the Valley for, this will be my 25th year. Built my own home here in Ballard, which is the same zip code as Solvang. I've seen a lot of things, a lot of development here. I'm an architect and a general contractor. I am some sort of retired, although I'm still somewhat active. I have done work here in the city of Solvang, including 4 charming little Danish houses right over here on Copenhagen that some of you may be familiar with, owned by the Galling family. And that was my first experience in really becoming aware of the importance of the Solvang heritage. And being the grandson of a European immigrant, I really treasure our respect for all of our heritages. And it's one of the things that is so special about Solvang is that it really stands out as a place where people honor their, I'll try to wrap it up, but I am Italian-American on my father's side. On my mother's side, she was a mixture of several Northern European countries. And so I kind of have appreciation for both. I'd like to see what I can contribute after living here for so many years to try to enhance and continue the traditions of Solvang and try to encourage a higher level of architecture and keeping in mind the traditional values and what Solvang's all about. So anybody who's interested can just Google my name. I have a very basic website that has a lot more information about me. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Do we have another candidate that wish to say anything? Esther?
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Esther Jacobson Bates, a lifelong resident here in Solvang, a retired executive director at the Elverhoy Museum of History and Art, current executive director at the San Ynez Valley Foundation. I've served as your chairman and vice chair of the Design Review Committee over the last 4 years, also on the General Plan Advisory Committee and several other committees over the decades. So rather than go on about my credentials, which I think speak for themselves, and I'm just here to reaffirm my commitment to serve, I really want to take a moment here and advocate for an important change that I think would be very impactful, and that is adopting staggered terms for the Planning Commission and the Design Review Committee. Currently, all members serve 2-year terms that begin and end simultaneously. And while this simplifies appointments, it creates challenges for continuity and effectiveness. When all terms expire at once, there's a significant risk of losing valuable institutional knowledge and perspective. And this can disrupt ongoing projects and slow progress, especially at times like this of transition. Staggered terms provide a balance of experienced and newer members. Thus, this approach preserves historical context and supports more thoughtful, informed decision-making. It also strengthens resilience by ensuring that institutional knowledge is retained as members cycle in and out. Many communities already use this staggered terms for their advisory bodies, recognizing that continuity is key to effective governance. In fact, our city already applies this approach successfully with the Measure U Committee. Staggered terms would also align well with the structure of district representation. So I know this won't work for our current term, but I urge you to consider this simple yet impactful change for the Planning Commission and Design Review Committee. It's a practical step that will help ensure that these groups continue to serve our community effectively and with lasting impact. So thank you for considering me. I too consider this to be a very important time in our community's history, and I appreciate your consideration.
Thank you. Is there any other candidates that I saw here in the front?
Thank you. My name is Juan Roca. My wife and I have lived here in Solvang for 10 years this past November. I was first introduced to Solvang my freshman year of college, getting pulled over on the 246 by Officer Frostow. Thank you, Sandy. He's now my neighbor. My wife and I moved here after going to Cal Poly in San Luis Obispo, where I studied civil engineering. Since moving to Solvang, I've started a custom home business, as well as a family with now having 2 small children. My wife and I have loved Solvang, obviously, for the charm it has, but also that a lot of towns like San Luis Obispo, where we came from, there's a lot of modern development, and the towns change really quick, and Solvang seems to have been able to keep its history and charm. I'd like to join the design review committee to help keep that design and history, but while also allowing existing and new businesses to grow within the city. I'm constantly working with multiple architects, planning consultants, county personnel, city personnel, and I pride myself on my strong relationship with them all. As a small business, I rely on efficient processes to help me with my projects, and I hope I can implement similar processes within the Design Review Committee. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Were there any other hands up? Yes.
I'm Richard Boyd. If you don't mind, I'll speak from here, but I'll just speak real loud.
Okay.
That's okay. As I said, I'm Richard Boyd. I'm retired for a little over 40 years in commercial construction management. Moved to the valley here in Ballard about 10 years ago. However, my only West Coast relatives moved here in 1962. So I've been a regular visitor to the valley for over 60 years. There were no wineries here then. There were no shopping centers here then other than Nielsen's Market up in Belmont and Palo. So I've got a pretty good feeling and a pretty good history of what the valley was, is, and has been. If nothing else, I spent over 4 decades reviewing, analyzing, and interpreting construction drawings. So I think I could bring a lot of experience here, and both in history to this valley and what I really love, which is why we moved here, and in review and interpretation of construction documents.
Thank you very much. Any others? Yes. Oh, wait. We're not open. This isn't public comment yet. I want to get the candidates to give us their spiel. Okay. So, is there any candidate online that wishes to participate? Okay. Okay. Then I'll open it now for public comment for Design Review Committee applicants. Please, Duncan? Lansing Duncan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members, and congratulations to your newest member. I just did want to speak in support of Mr. Witosh. He's down there at the end of your list because of his name. It might also be based upon how many years of experience he has in architectural review. I've worked with him for as long as I've been on the county Historical Landmarks Advisory Commission, but I've worked for him much longer than that. When we were both in practicing, I as a landscape designer and himself as an architect, and he's still practicing as an architect, okay, we worked together as a team and effectively solved the problems of our clients, but also brought the best project we could to the table. And he has years of experience working for the city of Santa Barbara, BAR, and I know he would bring a very experienced balanced perspective. Besides being an architect, he's an engineer. And it's been very helpful on certain occasions to have those thoughts he can bring to the table because of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we had, please come on up, Mark Oliver.
Good evening and congratulations, Ms. Smith and council members. I'm urging you to support Esther Bates' reappointment. Esther has demonstrated, as she's already said, her long time residency here. In fact, she and my wife went to high school and grade school together. And her stewardship of the Elverhoy was exemplary. It was well done for 20 years. She knows this community, you know her, and her sensitivity to the needs and the aesthetics of this area are very important. And I also think it's important to balance the group with someone who is not a developer or been in the construction side of the industry, but rather more on the aesthetic side. So with that, I urge you to reappoint her. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Mark Oliver, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Any others? Dennis Beebe?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Dennis Beebe, Solvang. I also attended DRC meetings most of last year. So I saw Esther Bates run a tight ship as the chairwoman of the DRC. Nobody protects Solvang's image, architecture, character, call it what you will, more than Esther Jacobson Bates. Jacobson with an S-E-N, no surprise there, right? She was a member of the GPAC with two of you, myself, and 13 other citizens. She contributes to this community, and she's willing to come back and do it again. DRC is not an easy job, especially for the chairwoman, but she reluctantly is willing to serve again. She's bringing experience and a fighting attitude to protect Solvang and to improve Solvang in the right way. Thank you.
Thank you. Tracy?
I'm in full support of Miss Esther Bates, and she's not doing it reluctantly. She's here to damn do it for you all because she knows the historical history. So remember, it's about historical history with design review, and we need to keep that, as I said, within planning. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anybody on Zoom that wishes to speak? Okay, I'll close the public comment for the moment, and we'll go back to our list and comments from the board. You can
choose somebody.
You can make an appointment.
I'll appoint Esther Jacobson Bates.
Okay.
That probably didn't surprise you, Esther.
That was simple. Okay, for District 2.
It's a tough one. It's a tough one. Again, yeah, lots of very qualified people. I am going to appoint Jennifer Johnson.
Okay. Any comments? Okay. District number 3.
I'm amazed at how many people that are willing to put their time into this committee. I am going to appoint Melissa Bates.
I have a question. Is there a relationship between those two? Comment? Time's up.
No relation, but I was told by Melissa and Melissa Bates and Raylyn Peterson that they had pulled their applications. I was given that information previously. Did you receive that information from? Okay, I did receive that information today. That's why I was going to bring that up, because it could
Okay.
present a problem.
That is a problem. I don't, without that being official, I don't want to pull that application. And when I say official, it's not that I don't trust you, I just need it confirmed by our staff.
Well, we had the one email that withdrew, but I haven't heard of a second one.
Okay. All right. Do you wish to, is that news to you, or?
That's news to me. I didn't know.
Okay. Would you like to call Ms. Bates and confirm? And we'll move on for another, we got one more, and then my own.
Yeah, I wonder if we
So
should
let's-
consider an
let's-
alternate if we have to choose a backup.
Yeah, we
I
can
don't
make an
have to
alternate.
call an audible right now.
That's what I'm doing, calling an audible.
We can move on, but
Let's move on.
You wanna move on?
Yes.
so yeah, I would love to
District 4.
appoint Esther as well, just to underscore how important the DRC is and what a great job she's done. But I know we can't do that twice.
No, you can't. I did that.
I also want to say thank you for everyone who has stepped up and recognized how essential this committee is to the city of Solvang. We're a design city, and I have the two firm beliefs, which is this is why people continuously come back to Solvang, is because they have a consistent experience. And the second thing is the DRC actually is more as much a design committee as it is a governance committee, which is staying true to the seriousness of the ordinances. If you've ever been with a city to visit a city that doesn't take it seriously, it can really alter your view of the town and your experience. So I'm going to appoint Charlene Getz because I know she'll honor that discipline and the importance of what it means to Solvang.
Thank you. Any comments on that? Okay.
Did we get?
Do we have any feedback?
Do we have an answer?
Melissa Bates said that she would accept the nomination.
She would. Okay. All right, you'll stay
Okay.
there?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, we have word that Melissa Bates will accept her nomination. And so that brings it to me for my appointment. And again, I appreciate all the efforts, but there's a lot of new blood, and I really appreciate that too. A lot of enthusiasm and a lot of new faces, and people that are getting engaged, and I think that's huge, and it's humbling for us to know that there's that much support for help and being that sounding board and advisory to us. It's very much appreciated. It takes a lot of work off of our plate, and it's very appreciated. So I would like to appoint Juan Roca as my candidate. And if there's no discussion, I'll open it up for a,
I don't know the gentleman, but he's a contractor, and what we're looking for is design issues. So I'm not sure that I would support that.
okay. Any other? Well, Mr. Roca's here. Would you share with us are there any conflicts or issues that you might have? Thank you for being here today.
I think the conflict would only be if it's a project I'm trying to get approved through the city. But at that point, I just have to excuse myself from any comment on that project.
Are you working on any projects that are being developed in the city today?
Not currently.
And most of your customers are in or outside of Solvang?
San Ynez is the majority, which I discussed trying to get more efficient processes, because I do know a lot of business owners and work with a lot of business owners that express how difficult it is to get things in the city of Solvang. Obviously, we want to keep the history, as do I, but I also would like to get some business in Solvang other than pure tourism.
Okay.
Well, that might create a conflict if the role exposed you to potential clients. The way you just phrase that gives me pause.
I think being able to create a process that is more easily understood by someone trying to come into the city to develop something or remodel their current business would promote people to do more projects or bring more projects to the city.
Have you ever been to a DRC meeting?
No, sir.
Because DRC does not establish procedures that get things done faster. Okay? They are strictly for design. And so right off the bat, I'm concerned that you're misunderstanding what the role is in the DRC.
Forgive me if I'm incorrectly speaking, but does the DRC not also create the rules, the design rules for applicants to follow in order to get a project approved?
No. It's done by the planning department.
Understood.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does that change your level of interest?
Well, thank you, Mr. Roca, appreciate it. I'm going to accommodate the dissension and the potential conflict of interest, I'm going to modify my nomination for Richard Boyd, unless there's any discussion or otherwise. Okay. No dissension?
Well, no, I just want to point out that one is a construction manager and the other one is a general contractor. So if we are ratifying or questioning applicants based on what they do or what potential conflict of interest there might be, I don't think there's much of a difference at this point.
Perhaps, but Mr. Boyd is retired and not seeking new business.
No, there's plenty of retired people that do take on jobs every so often, but that's just my opinion.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna, unless there's dissension otherwise, it's just a question, not an opposition.
No, just a comment.
Okay. That being said, then I'd like to get a motion for let me read those individuals. Esther Bates, Jennifer Johnson, Melissa Bates, Charlene Getz, and Richard Boyd. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion we accept them.
Do I have a second?
I will second that.
It's been moved and seconded for the Design Review Committee. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Infante,
Yes.
Councilmember Claudia Rona,
Yes.
Councilmember Louise Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Elizabeth Arona,
Yes.
Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody, for that. And thank you for coming forth and trying to be an asset and a resource to us and your community. Appreciate it. We'll move on now to the Measure U appointments. Oh, and I will say that Ms. Bates' suggestion of alternate was well received, and I'll let her know that it's also in the process as we speak. So we're planning to have those modifications. So let's move on to Measure U Committee. I have, how many openings are there for that? Two openings, and we have 3 applicants. Would you read that off, please, to us, Madam Clerk?
Applications received to fill 2 open positions on the Measures U Citizens Oversight Committee were from Hank Homburg, Henry Hogsey, and Adelia Kehoe.
Thank you. Are any of those candidates with us today, please?
Hank Humber.
Mayor, council members, congratulations on your appointment. I'm Dutch. My name's Hank Homburg with a U, not Danish. People get it confused, but I'm actually Dutch. Yes, I would like to participate in our city. I know last year we generated approximately $2.3 million, I believe, with the Measure U money. And I feel that that money should be going primarily to what the ballot title stated, which is to protect and maintain funding for the City of Solvang services, such as pothole, street repair, and flammable brush removal. I don't know if any of that has been done.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Okay.
Could we have it quiet in the audience, please? If I can hear you, I'm sure other people can. This is your time. Please
Okay,
go
I
forward.
appreciate that. But anyway, so as I was saying, I just think it's really important that, it gets used as intended, how it was presented to the voters. And those 3 things are the top things. And we actually have a problem with our streets and our infrastructure in Solvang. They're just degrading so fast. And I think a lot of that's attributed to all the delivery trucks that are, using the infrastructure now that we never had 10 years ago, thanks to Amazon and buying online. There's just a lot of heavy vehicles on our roads now. But another thing with the LA fires, the flammable brush removal is something that needs to get addressed. I know we have the goats that come into Hans Christian Andersen Park, and that's great for the lower level stuff, but we have trees that have never, ever been trimmed, and some need to be removed. And my big concern is Freeboard Canyon, how it crosses Chalk Hill and goes into, Hans Christian Andersen Park. There's a bridge of trees that almost goes right over Chalk Hill. And if we get a wind-driven fire, it could go right into where Eucalyptus and the rest of downtown is. So as a 30-year retired firefighter in Santa Barbara City who's been on Jesusita, T-Fire, Painted Cave, I can see catastrophe potentially happening. And I really think we need to address the flammable brush removal as well as the streets. I talked to a pavement person today and I said, is it really viable with, if you had $1.5 million, $2 million to get something done? And he goes, absolutely. He goes, from the bridge at Alisal, where we went all the way to Alisal Resort, I think that was like $1.1 million, and they had money left over after all that paving, and that was a big project. And they ended up using it in Skip Mesa for chip sealing or slurry sealing. So again, I'd like to see that money be held accountable for what it's intended for. And if you choose me, that would be my POV. So I appreciate your consideration. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else on? Yes, please. Come up.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Henry Hogsey, and I'm currently a member of the Measure U Committee, and as Esther spoke, 2 of us are up for renewal, and I'm one of them. So I would request that you consider me again. I would like to pursue further to some of the things that Mr. Homburg mentioned, we are looking at a strategic plan, and we're having a workshop, or they will be having a workshop next month to work on that, and then ultimately develop a plan that would prioritize the various elements that were identified in the Measure U when it went to ballot. So with your consent or agreement, I would very much like to serve you again, and thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Adelina? She? Not here? Okay. Any public comment for either of these candidates? Yes, please, Jamie.
Thank you, Mayor Brown and Council. First off, Louise, I lost by 1,000 to Mayor Brown, so 6 is nothing. I'm at the moment, I am the co-chair of the Measure U. I'm also will be joining the TMAC committee, and I've had the pleasure of working with Henry and Adelia on Measure U. I think as a team, the 5 of us, we really we grill Randy pretty well. We know what the priorities and what the community voted on, and it's very important to us to stick to what the community voted for. And even if you come to our meetings, we've only had 3, and so we're really steaming up, getting into 4th gear with this committee, and it feels really good if we were to keep us together with Adelia and Henry, myself, and Jeff, and Frank, because I think we're a good group as we work together. We have kind of found our place as a committee that serves Solvang. So those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Any others? Yes, Steve Brown.
Yes, Steve Brown. I just want to speak in favor of retaining Henry. I think I'm biased, he's a good friend of mine, but I think he really is committed to this town, full on, and he's committed to safe, effective, and useful government. And so his presence on Measure U makes me feel better about it being implemented in the thing that I voted for. Thank you.
Thank you. Others? Anybody on Zoom? Okay. Comments from the council?
Well, if I may, I want to comment because I won't be able to appoint, I don't think, right? Did we establish the procedure?
Go ahead, Randy.
Yeah, upon some research, the way the ordinance was written, it talks about the mayor and the mayor pro tem basically individually appointing or at least each council member appointing as it was. And in this case, Mayor Brown was the mayor pro tem, and then Councilman Infante was the mayor at that time. So as staff discussed, if it's done by position, then Mayor Brown and Mayor pro tem Morona would be making the appointment. Or if it's done by individual, then Mayor Brown and Councilman Infante would reappoint, because they were the 2 that appointed the 2 that are up for reappointment right now.
Okay.
If that makes any sense.
So which of the 3 are incumbents?
The 2 incumbents are Henry Haugsy and Adelia Kehoe.
Okay.
And last time Mayor Brown was as the mayor pro tem appointed Henry, and Councilman Infante as mayor appointed Adelia Kehoe.
I see. Okay. And what's our procedure at this juncture, because that was then, or is there any changes?
No, I don't think that we would recommend any changes. So you could just go with the mayor pro tem appointment as you did previously.
Okay.
The mayor and mayor pro tem at the time, so he and I?
Now.
Oh, now. So
Presently.
it's, no, okay, fine.
Okay.
Okay, can I make a couple comments?
Please.
Because I actually would like to comment because I attended all of the Measure U committee meetings that they've had to date. And I do feel that the group is working extremely hard to stay aligned with what voters voted for in the way that the budgets and the excess tax revenue would be spent. And they're just getting their, I think they're just about to hold their first public workshop, which I believe is January 28th at 3 o'clock. Oh, now I'm promoting that. The point is that they've really got that momentum going. I am advocating for the way we reappoint in a staggered fashion because I think it makes a lot of sense and it gives continuity but opportunity at the same time. But in this case, I would really like to advocate to keep the group together if we can see that way forward.
I would go along with that.
Any comments?
As would I.
Okay. Would you like to make an appointment? Mayor
Well,
Pro Tem
you know, that's a tough one because I know that Mr. Homburg loves to tell the city what we should do with our money, and I really commend you for your advocacy for transparency and due diligence. That being said, the committee does take a while to get its tracks on, and seeing that it was a new committee, and it is important to stick to cohesion. So I am going to appoint an incumbent. I would like to appoint Adelia Kehoe.
Okay. And I would like to reaffirm my appointment with Henry Housey, excuse me, to reaffirm that. But I also want to thank Hank and his passion for keeping us forward-thinking and keeping us on track, regardless of whether he's on that committee or not. I hear from him. Yes.
If I might, and to kind of reaffirm what Councilmember Arona mentioned a moment ago, the Measure U workshop is here in this room on January 28th, which is 2 weeks from tomorrow, at 3 p.m., and there will be discussion about exactly what Mr. Homburg was talking about and making sure we're in alignment with the will of the voters. So we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about Measure E, which had very similar language, although there's no requirement for an oversight committee. There's a huge logic, in my opinion, to have that committee help provide the guidance for those funds as well. So I encourage Mr. Homburg and anybody else who might be interested to participate in that, or attend and participate in that meeting.
Thank you. The two candidates that have been appointed for Measure U is, would you read those names off for us? And I will accept a motion after you read the names.
Nominated by Claudia Rona would be Adelia Kehoe, and nominated by Mayor Brown would be Henry Hogsey.
And I'll move that we accept those.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded for the Measure U committee. Roll call, please.
That would be Councilmember Infante,
Yes?
Councilmember Claudia Rona,
Yes.
Councilmember Elizabeth Rona,
Yes.
and, excuse me, Councilmember V. Louise Smith,
Yes.
and Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. Okay. I want to thank everybody for making being here tonight, being part of our democracy, and helping us get through and do better for our community. Mr.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, thank you. I
Okay.
just wanted, for those of folks that were not appointed to a committee or commission, I would like to announce that we're in a process of doing a recreation master plan update, an update, and we will be reaching out to the community for input about those things. So I encourage those of you who have an interest, even those that were appointed to the committee, to participate in that process. We'll be making those announcements as they become available.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Now I guess we're going to go to public communications for non-agenda items. So, Madam Clerk, would you like to read that off for us, please?
Public communications on non-agenda and consent items. At this time, you may address the council on items not on the agenda and on consent. Due to the number of people present, we will limit our public comments to 30 minutes in total. We will start with in-person public comments first,
Okay.
and then anyone volunteering to speak for just 1 minute, please line up first.
If you, what we're doing to expedite the number of comments is that if you have a 1 minute comment, come up first, but that means if we get to the 30 minutes and there's no time left, there'll be no further comments after that period of time. So what we're trying to eliminate is redundancy in comments and just saying, oh, whatever he said, I'm there too. So we're trying to get everybody the ability to speak and yet maximize our use of time. So those of you that would like to speak that you know that would be less than a minute or they would be on up first. We'd go through that timing, and those that need the full 3 minutes would be at the end. Brian.
Sorry, while walking, I
sorry.
had a couple of.
Please, even though I know you, not everybody.
Okay,
does.
I'm Brian
Your name.
Carrillo. I live here in Solvang, probably one of the newest residents to move here. I had a few speeches prepared, but I'm not going to read neither of them because I want to give my time up to those that might have something critical to say. What I wanted to talk about briefly, though, I just wanted to take a moment and formally acknowledge the fires in Southern California. Coming from Southern California as recently as last year, I still have a lot of family and friends there. What I wanted to talk about, if I had more time, would be to caution all of us about the dangers of fire and emergencies, and hopefully call attention to the need to maybe develop a communication system that connects the citizens during a crisis, so that if anything like that did happen, we had a way to reach out to everyone and maybe minimize the damage and the fatalities or anything that might occur from that. So I'm sure we'll have a chance to talk about that down the road, but thank you everyone for giving me a moment to say that.
Thank you. Okay, any other short ones? Ellen Abertoni?
I'm Ellen Albertoni, the Executive Director of the Solvang Senior Center. And the reason I'm here this evening is to thank all of you, the City Council, Mayor Brown, your staff, Randy Murphy, for your wonderful support of the Senior Center, for our growth. Our new building will be having a groundbreaking on Wednesday at 1 o'clock in the Legion Wing. It's finally, our beautiful building has come to fruition. Our old building is completely demolished. Everything we've been working so hard for 7 years is now here. Thank you to you. Thank you to our community. Thank you to all of our members out there who are members of the Senior Center. And I welcome all of you to come and celebrate, because this is the first building for our public that's been built in years, and it's fantastic. So thank you very much. We can now serve the community as we should. Thank you.
Thank you. Dennis Beebe.
3 minutes, Mr. Mayor.
No. I believe you.
Thank you. Dennis Beebe, a 32-year resident of Solvang. Tonight, I'd like to speak in support of the city's housing element, the most important element in the general plan, and low-income housing, sometimes called affordable housing, sometimes workforce housing. And I've chosen a picture rather than all the words and text that you've heard on the subject of Site C. Some Brit said a picture was worth a lot of words. Please look at this picture. The housing element milestones are shown in blue at the top of the graphic. Some of you participated in it, as did many of us. And the first milestone, and the work to develop the housing element goes way off the map, maybe a year prior to this schedule shown. And the council approved it in December of 2023. The Housing Authority in Sacramento approved it. Actually, they call it certified it in February of 2024. And within the housing element were very important vacant lots, happened to be along Alisal, that enabled the city to meet their requirements from Sacramento based upon, I'm sorry, I don't get 3 minutes?
No, you get 3 minutes.
Oh, you're going to give it 3?
Are you helping me or hurting me? Anyway, there were three.
I apologize. You have 3 minutes.
There were
Two
three
left.
important vacant lots that formed the basis of the city's meeting their allocated low-income housing units. They happened to be all along Alisal. In March of 2024, as shown, the city rezoned 2 out of the 3 for high-density residential and met some of their low-income housing unit requirements. In December, your last meeting, the council approved the 3rd property to be rezoned, and that was Site C. The amount of low-income housing units estimated based upon this rezone was 36, as shown on the graphic. Now, in parallel with this housing element milestones, the owner-developer of Site C began a series of applications. The first one is known as a pre-application, and he beat the certification of the housing element in Sacramento. So he was allowed to call up Senate Bill 330, otherwise known as Builder's Remedy, and he submitted his pre-application in October of 2023. He didn't meet the requirements that were cited by the Housing Authority for a pre-application, but the city accepted it, and we moved on through a succession of applications throughout 2024. Each one provided a little more information, but each one was rejected by the planning staff as being incomplete until the last one, which was December of last year. For some reason, the developer reduced the number of housing elements, which were 20 all during 2024, and went down to 13. I think the council ought to discuss it because staff rendered the developer's application for 13 units complete. What the heck? So I recommend the council discuss that particular event in particular because I believe, the developer violated AB 330 by proposing 13 units, and our appeal on that subject was rejected by your attorney and by the city manager when we attempted to file it.
Thank you, Dennis. Okay, next is Craig Kent. On deck is Dan Martin.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, and welcome, Ms. Smith. Good evening. My name is Craig Kent. I've been a resident and homeowner in Solvang for 45 years. I'm here tonight to express serious concerns about the recent declaration of completion for the Wildwood project application by city staff. This action is fundamentally flawed because the application fails to meet all requirements set forth by California law. An appeal was attempted to challenge this decision and the actions of staff involved. Yet shockingly, it was reported that the city manager refused to accept the appeal filing. I urge the council to direct staff to receive the appeal and process it according to city code allowing appeals, or alternatively, to exercise your authority and accept the appeal for review and decision. 18 Mission Oaks homeowners collectively own the real property burdened by the easement on the Site C project site, Wildwood. These owners were required to be notified and included as property owner signatories on the preliminary application. The developer failed to meet this requirement, rendering the application void. The developer cannot bypass property ownership laws. Despite the developer's claims, the developer does not own the easement property. The Mission Oaks homeowners do, and they retain property rights as owners. The application is further invalid due to the developer's failure to submit required title reports within the statutory deadlines. In a May 2, 2024 notice of incomplete, the planning manager explicitly stated that title reports must be submitted within 90 days, as required by the Builder's Remedy Statute SB 330. Yet, the developer missed the deadline, dismissing the requirement as unnecessary. The city's subsequent August 30th, 2024 notice of incomplete reaffirmed this deficiency. Yet the developer's November 28th, 24 submission still failed to include the necessary title reports. Without those required documents, the application cannot be deemed complete. There is no discretion in this matter. The developer's failure to meet these statutory requirements invalidates the application. Therefore, the city must cease processing this application. I urge the council to take immediate action, either direct staff to accept and act on the appeal, or use your authority to correct this egregious error. Our community deserves transparency, accountability, and adherence to law. Thank you.
Thank you. Dan Martin? And Lansing Duncan next.
Good evening again. My name is Dan Martin, still. Tonight, I join others in asking the council to consider the San Ynez Valley Residents Association appeal to the city concerning the Wildwood development. I want to focus on the ownership of the property that the developer proposed to use as its primary in and out access road, resident parking, and retaining walls. That easement covers approximately 20% of the land to be developed. The problem is that this developer does not own that 60-foot easement because this property is common property owned by 18 Mission Oaks homeowners and the Mission Oaks Homeowners Association. This easement was granted in 1985 when the zoning allowed for 11 single-family homes, not the 100 units proposed by this developer, which would overburden this easement. Under California law, an easement grants the easement holder only the right to access and the use of the property for specified purposes. An easement does not convey ownership of the underlying property. The owner of the land, in this case, the 18 Mission Oaks homeowners, pay property taxes for that land and retain the right to use the land beneath the easement. The pre-application for the Wildwood development also required all property owners to give consent on this builder's remedy application to allow it to be submitted to the city. These 18 Mission Oaks residents and property owners were never notified for their signatures on the pre-application. Therefore, were not given due process notification of the proposed use of the easement. Back to the appeal mentioned at the beginning of my presentation, I respectfully request the City Council to direct staff to accept and process the appeal submitted to the city, or that the City Council take jurisdiction and review the validity of the application for this development. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Duncan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. My name is Lansing Duncan, Solvang resident, Valley resident for 35 years, former county planning commissioner, and the former member of the Solvang GPAC that worked on the general plan update. Like my neighbors and other Solvang residents, I support developing affordable housing on Site C but consistent with the housing element. The council needs to accept and process the appeal of staff's conduct in deeming the Wildwood project complete. Craig Kent and Dan Martin have pointed out the inadequacy of the developer's pre-application that failed to vest his Wildwood Builders Remedy project. Attorney Mark Chatillo, working on behalf of co-owners of the common property, Mission Oaks and Solvang residents, pointed out that inadequacy to the city and the city's attorney in March of 2024. But the city chose to put its head in the sand and has continued processing a flawed project inconsistent with the adopted and certified housing element. Solvang residents have heard that your council would rather see a project consistent with the housing element on Site C, but we've seen multiple times where staff has ignored or reduced requirements. As a result, attorneys working on behalf of the community sent the city a cease and desist letter on December 23rd, delineating the inadequacies of the application and its processing. SB 330, which was used to supposedly vest the Builders Remedy project, required 20% affordability, but the developer's November 28th Wildwood project submittal reduced that percentage to 13%, adding still another reason to reject the project, as pointed out in the cease and desist letter. The developer seemed to think that he could take advantage of AB 1893, but that legislation did not take effect until January 1st, 2025, and then he would only be able to convert his project to the new 13% standard if it was deemed complete before the end of 2024. Your staff should never have deemed complete a project that failed to meet the standards of both SB 330 and AB 1893, but it did so after receiving the cease and desist letter on the same day, December 23, 2024. Staff's completeness determination ostensibly increased the number of affordable units, but it actually reduced the affordability standard for the project to 13 units. The completeness letter, which falsely claims the preliminary application and all other subsequent application submittals provided 20% affordable units, actually points out that the developer will be able to resubmit the project pursuant to the lower 13% affordable standard of AB 1893 on January 2nd, 2025. This determination that leads to the provision of fewer affordable units is contrary to the purpose and intent of the legislation the project was submitted under and is not in the community's interest. The council need to pull its head out of the sand and accept and process this appeal. Thank you.
Steve Martin, and then Al Cortese.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of council. My name is Stephen Martin, and I live in Solvang. Council and staff have repeatedly said that Solvang's hands are tied with respect to Wildwood by the law. So please follow the law. Staff has followed the law only one time when it helped the developer use the builder's remedy after Solvang was 8 months late submitting the housing elements and out of compliance with Senate Bill 330. Staff acknowledged at that time that the code at that time and told the developer he could file a builder's remedy application, even though it would totally destroy what was planned for Site C in the housing element. But when the code placed strict restrictions on the developer and there were clear grounds to disapprove the preliminary application as defective, staff ignored the law. It ignored the law 5 times. First, when the developer failed to meet all the state law mandates in order for the preliminary application to be deemed submitted and allow a more profitable builder's remedy project, staff looked the other way. Specifically, developer declined to supply the names of all the owners, as you've heard, involved in of the property involved in the project, and the affidavit showing that they had notice that the application was being submitted. Even though this requirement was clearly spelled out in SB 330 and in the state application form and instructions, staff ignored the law, accepted the preliminary application as compliant, and allowed the developer to continue with his profitable builder's remedy application. Second, when the developer submitted an incomplete full application, staff warned him, as you've heard, even quoting the state law, that if the required title reports regarding the owners of the 60-foot easement property involved in the project was not submitted within 90 days, the preliminary application would expire and be of no force and effect. meaning the builder's remedy opportunity could not be used. When the developer failed to meet the 90-day requirement, staff again ignored the law and continued to process the application under the builder's remedy. Third, when the developer second amended application lowered the proposed affordable units below the 20% required by a builder's remedy project, staff again ignored the law. Instead, staff exceeded their authority, effectively modified the application for the developer, deemed it to contain 20% affordable units to satisfy the builder's remedy, and then further claimed deemed it complete, so that on January 1st of this year, the developer could further reduce the number of units down to 13 and increase his profits. And then lastly, the staff has violated the law by saying that the appeal filed is not appealable, that their objection to the illegal actions by the staff is not appealable, and then when the effort was made to physically provide that staff and the council with an appeal, the staff refused physically to allow the actual appeal to be filed so that you could decide whether it was appealable or not.
Thank you.
Please accept the appeal and act on it.
Mr.
Follow the law.
Mr. Cortese?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members, and congratulations and welcome to Ms. Smith. I'm Al Cortese, a Solvang resident, and tonight I'd like to sum up some of the many reasons why council should accept for filing and decision a valid appeal from the actions of staff in connection with the Wildwood project. As you've heard many times before, developers' builder's remedy application is defective because 1, SB 330 requires consent from the property owner to submit the application and the signatures of all property owners on the preliminary application. Mission Oaks Owners Association manages it, and 18 co-owners of the common property underlying the easement own that property, not the developer. And the second reason is that the application is void for failure to submit title reports. But it gets worse. Developer brazenly attempted to play fast and loose with the builder's remedy requirements. Developer attempted to have it both ways by amending the application to reduce the number of affordable units from 20 to 13 under AB 1893 that was not yet in effect. Thus, the project does not satisfy the requirements of SB 330 and cannot be converted to the reduced affordable housing requirements of AB 1893. At that point, December 23, 2024, at 9:57 a.m., trial lawyers for SYV Residents Association submitted a cease and desist letter to the planning manager and city attorney. But then, that same afternoon, the planning manager ignored the cease and desist letter and unlawfully revised developer's application. In unilaterally revising the November 28 application, so it could be deemed complete, the planning manager unlawfully and egregiously exceeded his authority. And those facts were contrary to the interests of the city and its constituents and in favor of the applicant. SYVRA then submitted an appeal to the council. However, flagrantly violating the municipal code, the city manager refused to accept for filing the valid appeal of the planning manager's unauthorized actions in deeming the project complete. Therefore, I join many residents in respectfully requesting that City Council direct staff to either accept, may I have 2 more seconds, to accept and process the appeal, or to take jurisdiction and reverse the matter yourselves. Lawyers for SYVRA emailed to you today a letter requesting the appeal be accepted and decided, which I ask be made of record. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Dr. Cynthia Matthews. She's left. Tracy Beard.
I want to say thank you to Candace Lieber, who is our community coordinator for Parks and Rec and for our holiday season. We are so excited, and I just want to say congratulations to the city of Solvang. We live on tourism. This year was truly an economic development, marketing wonder. It was great. It really showed how our business community truly thrived this year. An abundance of people. It was unbelievably amazing. At the same time, it was a lot for us. I would like to see a 2019 versus 2024 all the way down, sales tax, TOT versus the cost of marketing. It was an amazing adventure for this community, but at the same time, a lot of dollars we spent. It was the most probably busiest Christmas I've seen in 25 years of living here. We know we live on hospitality. We know we live on tourism. This community, that is what it's about. But I want to say thank you again to the team. They did an amazing job before, as we all put our Christmas stuff away and we're tired. She did. And you need to know the teams and Sue Lee. They did a great job. So we just want to thank everyone before that gets lost in all of this of what was said today. And that's all I want to say is we need to be thankful to our community, and we are on a business side of the marketing aspect. And thank you for everyone that serves. It's a lot to serve for a community, and I just want to thank everybody. This Friday is Junior Entrepreneurial Day, and we are working with the city of Solvang. We have 25 youths at the Veterans Hall. So we really want to see everybody out there. Come buy their wares, come see and support our youth. Okay, thank you very much for a great job, and to our Parks and Rec department and to Candace and the team. And do know that she deserves a little raise, guys.
Thank you. Any public comment from Zoom? I don't see any. Okay, anyone that wasn't called that would like to say something? Mark?
Mark Oliver, Solvang resident. We have tonight seen a planning commission appointed. We've seen a DRC appointed, and the emphasis has been on the importance of planning, the importance of listening to the people in this community and working together as a team to give the community what it wants and what it needs. The emphasis has been on planning. It's been on discussion and sharing. But this city planning manager is not sharing and is not working with you, with any of you. He's working against the interests of the people of this community and against the interests of all of you and of the DRC and of the Planning Commission. Is that the message that we want to send? Is this how it's going to be for the next 4 years? Please think deeply about accepting this appeal, because it has ramifications far beyond just this day, tonight, or the next month.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Okay, we're going to close the public comment section and move on to city manager's report and advance calendar.
Before we do that, can I interrupt for just a second? I got a text from a newspaper reporter. And when Elizabeth made a comment that appointed Louise, she used the inappropriate last name, and she asked that we correct this on the record that Louise's last name is Smith, so that comes out correctly in the newspaper.
I'll correct the record. Louise Smith.
It was a slip up, but we have to correct. That's all I wanted to say for right now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Move-
If she's
moving
like
on.
me, she answers to anything but late for supper, right? So city manager's
I mean,
report.
she's not been here but a couple hours and there's controversy
I know.
already. Where are we going with it?
I don't know. It's scary. I've got a few things to say, and then I'm going to invite Jose Acosta up here to talk a little bit about the wastewater treatment plant. My quick couple of announcements. Hearing what Tracy talked about a moment ago about the busyness of our city for the holiday period. We are in the process of putting together an after-action report, and we'll be making some announcements to the council about when we have more information. Obviously, it takes a few months to get all the sales tax and TOT information, but we've identified some things that need to be improved. And obviously, we had some last year. We made some improvements this year, and they were recognized, such as the crossing guards, but there'll be more of that. So stay tuned. We're not standing pat, that's for sure. Other announcements, there was a request from Vandenberg for folks to be able to participate in providing information back to them about the noise and other concerns that have been raised by the launches. We have this announcement on our website and I believe on our Facebook page, a launch alert for people to be aware of what's going on and also to be able to provide feedback. So stay tuned for that or take a look on our website for that. The next community cleanup will be on February 15th. So about a month from now, it's on a Saturday. If you're planning ahead, there's on the third Saturday, once a quarter. So in the 2nd, 5th, 8th, and 11th month. So obviously we have it in February. The next one will be in May, and the next one in August, and then in November. Every year, that's what they are. It's the third Saturday. So this third Saturday of February is the 15th. It will be here in Lot 4 from 8 a.m. to noon. And we'll also be posting that information on our website and Facebook page. There is a point in time count. They're looking for volunteers to help to count the homeless in our community. That information is available at County of SB, so Santa Barbara, but abbreviated, .pointintime.info. Sign up, and there is information in Spanish as well. At our last cleanup in November, I was notified that Solvang customers brought in just over 7 tons of waste. So that's stuff that in many communities ends up in the riverbed or on the side of the road. Our community has done a fantastic job, and just wanted to announce that. And again, reminding or repeating that we have the Measure U workshop 2 weeks from tomorrow on the 28th at 3 p.m. And with that, I'd like to invite Jose up to talk about our treatment plant. And if we could cue that presentation up, that would be great.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. Welcome, Louis Smith. Looking forward to working with you as well. Members of the public, my name is Jose Acosta. I'm your utility director. Tonight I'll be giving a high-level update on where we are with the wastewater treatment project. Seems like just yesterday I was here presenting the grant funding and starting this project, kicking it off. So we're starting to get back into the groove, looking at funding for the project, what the next steps are, re-engaging with our contractor to start the planning and the specifications for this project. So if we can get the next slide, please. A brief agenda on what I'll be presenting here this evening. I'll be giving some updates on the funding, where we land with that with USDA, on the design, where we are with our engineering firm, Carollo, the anticipated RFP release dates, where we are and where we hope to land with releasing the RFP for going out to bid to get this project constructed. Anticipated construction update, what the time frame's looking like as far as how long the construction is going to take, and hopefully meeting those deadlines. The last thing I want to do is give a quick regulatory update on where we are with the permitting process as well, and where we stand with the Regional Water Quality Control Board. Next slide, please. We're currently responding to USDA on updating the preliminary engineering report. This preliminary engineering report gives them all the details that they review to see if we can be approved for the funding of this project. We are currently working on resubmitting the CEQA documents. When I say resubmitting, we're just providing them, reminding them that we did bring these CEQA documents back in 2022. The council adopted the non-deck for that as well, accepted it with the resolution as well. So that has been completed, the CEQA documents, that's the California requirements. There's also national requirements with the NEPA documents. Those were put on pause back in 2022 because if you guys remember, we transitioned from grant funding to trying to seek a source for financing this project. So those were put on hold at that time. We've re-engaged with Meridian Consultants to reopen the NEPA documents and get those completed so we can get those submitted to USDA as well to complete the PER on this project. After that, previous slide, one last bullet there, please. After that will be, if we get approved, our PER looks complete and they accept that, they will ask us to submit an application for financing of the project. We're looking at approximately $15.9 million to complete this project from where we from start to finish on the project. Next slide, please. Again, as I mentioned, we've re-engaged with Carollo Engineers to start the design process to receive specs and plans on this project. We've already had several meetings with them. We have a couple more on the agenda. We've started discussions on the administrative building of this project. We've also started discussing the specs and plans of how we're going to design the plant, where all the infrastructure and equipment will be located on the plant. Also, designing the plant so that there's future capabilities with this plant, whether it's recycle capabilities, expansion of the plant, solar, or parking or other issues at this plant. So we're trying to design it in an aspect that it can be buildable and have resources to allow us to expand if needed. We anticipate, based off a conversation with Carollo, to receive 100% plans and specs by the end of this year. 30% should come at summer, then 70%, and then 90%, and then 100% plans and specs. So by the end of the year, we're hoping to have those plans in hand. Next slide, please. With that being said, once we receive plans, we'll start compiling the front-end documents to compile the RFP and get that released out for bid. We're anticipating getting that completed, having it out for bid the first quarter of 2026. We're hoping, it takes a few months to receive these bids, to do the walkthrough with the potential contractors, review the applications, put together a panel to grade the applications, and then make a selection of a contractor. We're hoping to complete that by the second quarter of 2026. Next slide, please. Update on the construction. With that being said, once we select the contractor in the second quarter of 2026, we hope to award that contract at that same time in the second quarter of 2026. The anticipated timeline for this construction is to take us through the first quarter of 2028. So it's quite a bit of work that has to happen and completeness. Hopefully we don't get any rain or events that will slow us down there, but we can't help that. If it does, it could be a little longer. With that being said, we will come back to council to accept the project, hopefully by the second quarter of 2028, and hopefully have that wastewater treatment plant ready to go by the summer of 2028.
I want to point out the obvious, but this is not what the wastewater treatment plant will look like.
Thank you. I was going to ask you to clarify that.
The last thing I want to give an update on are the regulatory updates of where we stand with the Regional Water Quality Control Board. Staff had been working with Carollo on trying to get these amendments to our current imposed requirements for meeting the sodium chloride, TDS, and other constituents at the wastewater treatment plant. One of the projects that we've been working on is source water study, looking at our source water, also collecting information and data from wells upstream of us as well to see how the water is being affected downstream of us in the river and people extracting water in the watershed downstream as well. We're also discussing options for treating based on the current imposed parameters. Some of those include wellhead treatment, which then we have to find financing or find projects to treat the water at our source water, which is the drinking water. That creates a whole other realm of costs and concerns on trying to build those treatment plants. I do believe there will be a day where we will be required to treat at the wellhead as well. That's down the road, hasn't been imposed yet, but those are things that we're considering as far as efficiency and cost effectiveness. We also are considering possibly bringing to council and discussing a possible ban on water softeners. We have to do more research on that because it's not something that we're sure we can do or how we would go about that as well. The other option is RO at the wastewater treatment plant. That carries its whole own set of problems with disposal of the brine, and we'd have to find ways to remedy that. We are going to be meeting with the Regional Water Quality Control Board staff to present some other approaches and regulatory approaches that may be able to assist with them modifying our permit as well. Some of those are intake credits, where you see what the water quality is of the water coming into the plant based off of your source water, and then what you're treating at the levels you're treating at. So there could be a credit based off the difference in those two parameters, and they may be able to get us to where we can meet our requirements. Corolla put together some graphs and some studies, hypothetical studies of where we were, and we seem to be in good shape if we can get that agreed on with the board. We're also looking at possible a basin plan amendment. That would require us to have to prove to the board that, our wastewater discharge does not negatively affect downstream aquifers or habitats as well. So those are things that plans we're putting together to take to the Regional Water Quality Control Board to try to allow us to raise the limits that are currently imposed. This is not just a local issue with the city of Solvang. It's an issue along the whole Central Coast with the Regional Water Quality Control Board. These parameters have been imposed on all the communities without concerns or input from the community on how the costs that are going to be associated with this and the loops that we have to jump through to meet those requirements. So with that being said, I can take a few questions, answer a few questions, and I do want to remind the council that staff will be coming periodically throughout the rest of this year with more formal updates, more plans, projects, RFPs for approval, and getting direction from council as well.
Yeah, if I may. Thanks, Jose. That was very good. How long is this going to take? Upgrading the wastewater treatment plant. Are we talking 5 years, 10 years? Do you have an idea?
So based on the construction updates, we're anticipating hopefully having it completed by the summer of 2028.
Okay.
If we stay on course of receiving the plans and specs and we get the RFP out to date, we get enough contractors to bid on it, we make a selection on the contractor.
What is the current status of taking Los Olivos wastewater?
Great question. Randy and I have been in constant communication with their general manager, Guy Savage. He took a couple studies that they've completed to his board last month. He's also waiting on a third study from one of their consultants to present to his board as well. We have a meeting set up next month to get more clarification on what their desires are, but also in our initial meeting with him, we've discussed, where we are in our process and how we have to get approval from council on our end to see how we move forward. So we're maintaining that communication. There seems to be some interest, but we don't have a solid decision yet to report back to council.
That's a design issue. Will that, if we accept their wastewater, will that just tie into one of our pipes, or will we have a separate pipe going underneath the Alisal Bridge to get to wastewater treatment plant?
Conceptually, based off of what they're anticipating and what their consultant has presented to them, they're looking at tying into our system at Sunnyfield, which would tie into our collection system, be routed through our collection system, which would require them to pay for upgrades in our system to be able to handle those flows coming into our collection system as well.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Jose, great to hear from you because it's been a while since we've heard from the water director. What wasn't clear to me in the 2 years that we would be constructing the project, the new wastewater treatment plant, we're going to operate the existing in parallel, is that right? And then cut over, and then do we remove? And is all of that included in the 2-year projection?
That is all included in the 2-year projection.
And the RFP would include kind of the decommissioning of the old
Yes, and there are only
Treatment
a couple components that will be decommissioned. You got to remember, we did the aeration project several years ago. That is a big portion of the wastewater footprint, and so that would remain intact, and we would basically be building off of that.
Okay, excellent. And the USDA, I worry about, we spent almost the time that you were away from us looking at or applying or pursuing a grant funding from USDA. Now we're exclusively talking about loan. Am I following correctly?
That is correct, but Randy has hired consultants that are helping us with grant funding and researching grants, and they're continuously searching for grants, and there will be grants that will be coming out in the next couple years that we'll be applying for, hopefully, and trying to get grant funding as well. It's not guaranteed, but Randy, if you want to add anything on that.
Yeah, so they're working on grant possibilities. Also, if you recall, 7, 8, 9 months ago, whatever it was, Congressman Carvajal's office reached out about projects that we would be looking for some earmarks, and I submitted this project. I submitted the project, total project cost was, $15 to $20 million, and that we would gladly accept that amount from Congress. However, they asked realistically, and I said, well, in the real world, perfect, we'd get that grant that USDA basically told us that we qualified for until they said we didn't. So about $5 million. I got a response back last week from Congressman Carvajal's office who said, essentially, it's not dead. They still haven't officially funded the current fiscal year. They keep doing extensions in Washington. So it's still alive potentially. I also put in the same request with Senator Butler's office. And before she left she confirmed it was not going to get funded through Senate, but it still has the opportunity to go through Congress.
So a couple comments then on that. I think appreciate that update. I think we need to probably collectively figure out how we give that request to Congressman Carvajal a little more personal touch. Maybe a couple conversations might help our case. I would like to make sure we're looking at different financial options. So it feels that we can't count on grant funding necessarily because we've been at this for a while without results. And so I just want to be sure we're not only heading down the path of a loan, we're looking at grants and we're continuing to look at other financing scenarios like bonds or, more that doesn't generate an interest obligation to us necessarily. Okay. So I'd also like to understand in the form of a request, could we get a full financial status of the waters, but both the combined the water and the wastewater budgets, because I think there is surplus being generated by the water rates, but it's not enough surplus to put a dent in this 15.9 million, which was the original intention for the water rate increases, and we are still committing our community to 5% increases year over year, but I think we're generating surplus and not generating enough capital for this project. So I think we need to revisit that.
So if I could, we're going to be doing a mid-year budget report here. I don't know about the next meeting, but very soon. And we'll cover all those funds, make sure we talk about water and wastewater. Just for purposes of clarification, the funding related to the rate increase, the rate study that was done, there was no anticipation of starting to repay a loan until late this current fiscal year. So the first 2 years were simply to kind of get back on an even keel. And then going forward, they were anticipating, I think it's about $750,000 a year in debt service. So yes, we've been collecting more money, but we were in a deficit situation. If you remember looking back on those previous budgets as an operational matter, we were in a deficit. The only reason we didn't actually have to borrow money from another fund was because some of the capital projects didn't occur. But there's still several projects. I don't know if you want to go into what they are specifically, but there are several projects.
We don't need to take that time. Let's do another review.
Yeah.
At a more formal review.
Yeah.
With the numbers.
So I had a question. What is the, on that timeline, I didn't see an item for financial commitment. When do we know we have the money to go forward with regards to the RFPs and everything else?
That's a great question. As I mentioned, we're working on the PER, and then once our PER is approved, we'll be able to submit the application. They said that could take a few months to get approval from USDA to move forward with that. So we anticipate hopefully PER gets approved, they review it before summer, hopefully before third quarter of this year.
For a financial commitment from USDA?
From USDA.
Okay. And that'd be a worst case scenario as a loan?
Yes.
And then any grants above that would be to our benefit?
Yes, sir.
Very well. Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you, Jose.
Thank you.
That's the end of my report.
The end of your report. Thank you. Okay. We have AB 1234, section. Any comments or outline concerns? Ms. Arona.
Yes, I do want to make a request saying that there are many projects that are ongoing. Sometimes they seem to move quickly, sometimes they seem to stall, sometimes it seems that they are just abandoned. I would like to revisit what our code says, that how we deal with projects that are seemed abandoned, because not only do they look unsightly if they're not finished, just because the developer decides that they're no longer interested in the project, but also they pose a hazard when you have abandoned properties. People break in, they try to cook in there or keep themselves warm, they start fires. There's all sorts of reasons why property shouldn't just sit abandoned. So I want to make sure that we are proactive about making sure that owners and responsible parties are taking care of their properties, so that, they contribute to the look of the city and also do not pose a risk. And if there is no such code that allows us to protect the city's look and integrity, but there certainly should be. Yeah, I certainly think there's all sorts of reasons why projects might be abandoned, but if they're not going to be pursued, they shouldn't be left as a bunch of sticks. They should be restored to, a sightly condition.
Okay. Mark?
Couple of things. The fires down in LA, of course, have brought up a lot of questions about water. We have, to my knowledge, 3 water reservoirs. One of them, Jose's still here. We have the one up on Chalk Hill, which seems to be fine. We have the one at the top of Alisal, and then we have the one down in the Alisal Ranch. Both of the 2 on Alisal have been talked about updating for years. I've been here 12 years, and I know we started talking about it. It was talked about when I first got here, particularly the one at the top of Alisal. That's about, I think it's 100,000 gallons. It needs to be upgraded. It needs to be expanded. The one down in Alisal Ranch is about 50,000 gallons. It needs to be upgraded. It needs to be expanded. And I don't see any of that on the capital improvement project list.
You want to help out, Jose?
Those 2 projects have been longstanding, and they were here when I first was here, my first go around. So they are on the capital improvement list. They're a couple years out. Our first priority is to seek we're working with our grant consultants to seek some grant funding for the design of Reservoir 3, which is out on the ranch. 50,000 and 100,000 are quite a bit less than what those reservoirs are.
Okay.
They're actually 250,000 and I want to say 500,000. I don't want to misspeak, but those are the numbers that I believe that they are. So they are about 500,000 and about 250,000 gallons of water in those tanks.
Okay.
But we're looking to increase capacity in this zone as you speak, Mr. Infante. So we are working with the grant consultant to find some grant for the design of Reservoir 3 within next budget year, and then the following budget year to start the design of that project and then get that out for construction. Hopefully we'll have that being constructed fiscal year 26-27. That's my goal. Reservoir 1 requires a bit more because we have to figure out how we're going to expand on that reservoir. There's property nearby, or do we have to go up or down on that reservoir? The one out in Alisal is a little easier. We may build a tank right next to the existing reservoir to expand capacity, so there's not too much logistics there.
My concern, if you listen to some of the reports about what's going on in the fires down in LA, they're running out of water. They had a problem with a reservoir that was taken out of service, unfortunately. But they're running out of water in different places. If we had a massive fire here, I don't know that those reservoirs would support the firemen taking care of it. Well, that means we'd have to pump in through ID1 valves or something like that, or the state water or something. This brings me back to what I also would like to bring up is an emergency plan. We need an emergency plan. We need something that talks about water, something that talks about how do you get out of town. And there's parts of this community that if a road is blocked, you're not going to get out of town. So we might need to talk about Fjord Road again. Something else that came up about, a dozen years ago. Concerns. Would like to see what we're doing in that regard. I would like to see that brought to us to say, here's where we are. We're facing another drought. Best I can tell from all the weather reports I've been able to find. If we go another couple years of drought, we're going to be in a lot of trouble. Then again, the reservoirs will be down. It'll be easier to fix them. Sorry, that was a bad joke. Thank you.
Any other?
What do we need to do to make that request actionable? Because I actually would underscore with more urgency. If we don't get rain in the next 6 months, we have fire risk all around us because we've done no serious fire abatement in the next 6 months, not a year from now. We don't have that luxury. And I think what Los Angeles is teaching us, it's not if, it's when. Everyone's at risk if we're not doing this work. So my request is to accelerate it as if it's our number one priority. We're beyond just the surroundings that are beautiful and we love them. It's high risk territory for us. We also have a thatched roof community in the heart of our TRC. We're double high risk.
I agree, and I've given instruction to staff. We had conversation with the county fire marshal about doing some abatement out in HCA, kind of the hillside around Skip Mesa, for instance. And the conversation, my takeaway from the conversation was basically this time of year we would start getting crews in there at a fairly low, inexpensive rate. I followed up with him in November, and he informed me that I was misremembering the amount and that we would not have crews available to us until later this calendar year. I was also informed that we need to complete some environmental work. So we've begun on that work. We're also investigating. The governor issued some exemptions regarding some environmental requirements for the LA fire area currently, and we're going to see if we can kind of piggyback on some of those exemptions so we don't have to jump through all the hoops. So we are definitely working on that. Again, the Major U Committee is meeting in a couple of weeks, and that is high on their list as well.
So
obviously,
Randy, can I
those
make
are-
a suggestion? Let's just get a little more assertive. Let's lean into it. Let's get a couple of bids from many different companies that offer the cleanup or the tree trimming and the brush abatement.
Right.
Let's come with some information that lets us act on it, which could be, bids from multiple companies. Let's also look at the Firewise, making community or sections of the community Firewise certified, and what those criteria are, because it makes us eligible for grant funding and monies to do some of this work. It also will give us guidance on how we come alongside whatever environmental considerations we can sidestep or we need to meet, and how we meet them quickly so we can move to reduce the risk in our environment. I think about Friedenberg Canyon, and that's high risk. All of the community in District 4 that sits along the river edge with overgrowth from the high rain season and all the way down into the ranch. I think there will be some participation and cooperation from community to meet those Firewise standards. So I would urgently request that we take action on all those fronts.
That's high on the list of priorities for my new assistant, so that's definitely
All right.
one of the things we've targeted for her.
I'd be happy to sit in on meetings and help propel that forward, so I think you'll get a lot of support.
You can put me on that list too. I'll be happy to help.
Okay.
Good. Any others? Well, I have a couple things. I was at the Vandenberg Space Force Base over the weekend with City Manager Murphy and Council Member Infante, and we were doing some just a great group of folks. It was a civics what would you call it, gathering of civic leaders and how we might help and communicate and work together with the base. And then that's one thing, but part of what I really enjoy about this position is I get to do a shout out from time to time. And I want to thank Sue and Dean of the Information Center for the tree lighting ceremony and emceeing that. Great job. I want to thank Candace and Jenny for their efforts in the Yule Fest. Very successful. And then I want to thank Sabine Overson, who did some murals at the Sunnyfields Park. When you go out there next, you'll see her artwork. It's just amazing for children. And I also want to thank, we were talking about fires and the issues with Los Angeles, and we put out a request. Our good friends at SYV, or Visit SYV, Shelby Sims, and we have over 30 properties offering discounts to displaced people out of Los Angeles and the fires and so forth. And I want to give a shout out for that, because the properties include the Genevieve, King Frederick's Inn, Four Friends Inn, Ballard Inn, Flying Flags, Motel 6 Buellton, Sideways Inn, San Marcos Hotel, Hotel Hagee, I don't know if I pronounced that right, the Inn at Zaca Creek, Quality Inn, Pea Soup Anderson's, San Ynez Valley Marriott, Hampton Inn and Suites, Skyview, Almo Motel, Victorian Mansion, the Inn at Maddie's Tavern, Fest Parker's Wine Country Inn, Hotel Inez, Svengard, Cork Hotel, Solvang Inn and Cottages, Viking Inn, Alisal Ranch, the Lansby, Vinland Hotel, the M, Maribel Inn, Hatson, Kronborg, Atterdag Inn, New Haven Inn, Hamlet Inn, the Winston, Wine Valley Inn and Cottages, Royal Copenhagen. Congratulations to these. Thank you for ponying up and representing Solvang so well, offering the discounts and helping our neighbors. I really appreciate that, as do the victims, and things that we can do as a community when we come together. And then finally, I want to thank one of our employees, Jennifer Cabrillo. Am I pronouncing that? Cabillo. Jennifer Cabillo is our code enforcement person. And during Yule Fest, an electric vehicle quit right in the middle of the driveway into our parking lot. And without thinking about it or anything else, she starts directing traffic, calls the towing company, and things just kept on going as they should. But she stepped up, got out of her comfort zone, and was taking care of a problem. And it's a testament to the staff and the teamwork that you guys put together. And thank you very much. It was, and I heard about this from the information booth there that we have, because it was right next to them that it occurred. But congratulations to Jennifer, and thank you for the team and Randy for all the things that you were able to do and through the chaos of Yule Fest. Okay.
I have to give a report out on activity really quick, because I was just supporting Mr. Infante. I attended in December, I attended the SYV EMA JPA meeting, which is our groundwater sustainability committee. At the meeting, we've initiated work on activities for all the grant funding that's been awarded the basin. And so we have a lot of work to do on that committee. So I'll be spending monthly meetings there. I did also attend the Solvang. A few of us were in the Solvang parade, and I attended a few Yule Fest activities. I did want to just mention how fun that was, but also how well organized Yule Fest and all its activities were in the city of Solvang. And shout out to all the marketing teams and the visitor center and the chamber for all the support, city staff, just everybody who had a hand in what looks like a remarkable holiday season. And so that's a congratulations and a big, big thank you to the Parks and Rec team. I did want to also comment that it's got a lot of commentary on the crossing guard. So really great investment there, because as great as and busy as Solvang was, if you were anywhere south of Oak, which is my entire district, getting into town was impossible. But he said the bad with the good, and we need to can work on continuously improving. So I'm hoping to hear from the marketing team, the Parks and Rec team, to give us what worked and what didn't, and what we need to pay attention to going forward. And also the chamber, I hope they'll come back and give us kind of a readout with some numbers on the overall performance. We don't necessarily have to wait till we see the tax revenue. Thank you for all the efforts. It's great, great, great holiday season.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, let's move on to item 7, consent. Madam Clerk, you want to read that?
Consent is for routine administrative city matters and is approved with one motion. These items are discussed only on request of council members. Members of the public were afforded an opportunity to speak during the public communications portion of this agenda.
Okay. Any changes anybody wants to make? If not,
I'll move we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second. Go ahead. Did we need public comment or anything like that?
You're approving the entire consent calendar, so first you would discuss whether anything wanted to be pulled. If not, then the motion would be
Except as presented.
Yeah.
Exactly. Public comment was already heard as the general public.
General, yeah.
Okay, so
So again,
you want to clarify?
I move that we approve the entire consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded to approve item 7 as presented. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Infante?
Yes?
Mayor Pro Tem Claudia Rona?
Yes.
Councilmember Louise Smith?
Yes.
Councilmember Elizabeth Arona?
Yes.
Mayor Brown?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. Okay, now we're on. We have no public hearings. So, hold on down. Discussion items 9A. We don't have that.
Withdrew that.
The wine bid that was dismissed or postponed to next meeting. So, is there item C? Item 9C, discussion and possible action, adopt resolution. Would you like to read that? Item 9C.
Discussion and possible action to adopt Resolution 25-1279, amending the remote public comment and Zoom policy, Zoom bombing policy, and renaming said policy the remote and in-person public comment and disruptive speech policy.
Thank you. Staff report, please.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. This builds on work that you did in November of '23 to adopt some additional rules regarding public participation and quote-unquote Zoom bombing during remote participation. This proposed policy amendment and renaming of the Zoom bombing policy is intended to some degree, tighten up the rules for participation in the room here, as well as on remote participation. It's not in any way intended to stifle public participation or stop people from speaking their mind. It's really aimed at the 5 categories of disruptive speech that are outlined in the staff report and that are consistent with case law on the Brown Act and the First Amendment. These are, as I say, already adopted in your policy for remote participation. What we're doing is adding one additional criteria for disruptive speech, which is a comment that a staff member could find to be harassing or bullying. That speech is not protected by the First Amendment or by state law. People are allowed to come in and criticize the city council, criticize the way staff is doing the job. But if that escalates to personal attacks, personal harassment, something that an employee could find actionable, this policy would allow the mayor to shut down that type of comment and warn the speaker that their time would be shut off. So we have a warning procedure in the policy, which is if a speaker is making disruptive speech, city attorney or the city manager or the mayor warns that person that if they don't stop, they'll be subject to having their time taken away. If they continue despite the warning, then we can essentially shut off the microphone and stop that particular piece of disruptive speech. Again, this is consistent with what you've already adopted for remote participation, with the exception of adding this classification of speech to protect employees from being harassed at work. So we'd recommend that you adopt the attached resolution. We believe it's consistent with the Brown Act and with the First Amendment rights of the folks who want to come in and participate, and we certainly encourage public participation. There's a resolution attached to the staff report. We'd recommend adoption of the resolution. Be happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Thank you. Questions of anybody? I'll say that I know that within our decorum that we have here, I will not allow profanity or as you say, bullying or ridicule of anybody individually. And I would appreciate everybody's respect for the office and the presence of public affairs. So, and I think this just expands that a little bit further. So I have no concerns with it myself. We could take it now to public comment. If you wish any, is there any public comment on Zoom or otherwise? Okay, bring it back. Any action you'd like to take? Would you like to move to approve the motion?
Does this require a motion on it?
It does.
Okay, then I'll make a motion we approve.
I will second.
Been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Infante,
Yes?
Mayor Pro Tem Claudia Rona,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Elizabeth Rona,
Yes.
Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay. We're now toward the end here. Are there any closing comments from others?
We've got agenda item 9A. What did you do with that?
Item 9J was 9A is postponed to a later meeting. The bid,
The wine
bid,
EID?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they
That's
weren't able to
acceptable.
they weren't able to present tonight.
Okay.
Randy, did
that's
we
right.
set that date, though? Is it for sure next meeting?
Basically, they called or emailed me earlier today and confirmed that they would have, a 7:30 kind of time frame presentation. And I explained that I anticipated a large contingent to talk about Site C, and also that we had several committees to fill, so that I thought it would probably be like 8:30, 9 o'clock at the earliest. And I said, you can postpone to a future meeting. And she requested that we move it to this January 27th meeting. So that's what we're going to do.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. I do have a closing comment, if I may. This past week, we've lost a iconic citizen who is past mayor of our community, Ken Verkler. And I would like to close the meeting on his behalf and memory of his, and give my sympathies and prayers to his family, and a heartfelt thank you for his service and his community endeavors. We're adjourned at 9:25. Thank you.